David Blacksmith jiwid stał a jiwana diganuit and dokwishunanuit giania nanako iuituin inda iuistit. Agud gauds jibiit iniayo atot giituin askajibatina bashid inda Manitoba.
In my family, there was lots of medicine people in my family. I know everything there is to know about my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family, because I had my grandparents to tell me who was who and who did what. My grandfather was a medicine man. My grandmother was a medicine man. And I'm nowhere near their power, or whatever you want to call it. But for me, I started to train when I was 8 years old. And at the beginning, the old man used to get me his medicines that he needed to administer to people. And same thing with the old, that's how I learned how to pick medicine and stuff like that.
David iniayo jagoyo gaidaitim higot nasta mos jipim bio. Jin hibio magjajimut chigot deniayo, with jachitaich shum jajita badrumstai.
One time I wanted to hear the old man, my grandfather, tell stories about a long time ago, how people used to do things, and it really fascinated me. And the power that they used to have, the power in a shake tent, the power in the Sundance and the goose dance and all that stuff.
David, jiwaptiao imtza doayo, abakodashumenanuit, amidotsenanuit, giamak akusaptiganuit. Inamak kusaptigan gastomenzintayaitigans, dabamtza doan jitodum, David magui sharpskum. Iniayo magatotk, hindoaitaksho jajimagupshot nastis hagadzahachit, miskojmagjajidaksnits mistapa.
I couldn't get my mind off some of the stories the old man talked about. It was very fascinating to me, the way the people lived, the way they didn't have certain sicknesses. And so when people used to come and see the old man or the old lady, I would be there. I was a little guy back then. And I have to go and get the medicines, or I went with the old man to go get the medicines. And my training began when I was about 8 years old or so. I used to see alcohol and people fighting and people getting killed and what have you. And I thought to myself that someday I have to do something about this. But right now I'm just a kid.
So that we can help ourselves defeat alcoholism, drug abuse, all of those things.
Iniayo magdabajamun gabatik David, idder gawidet saitik danhau gaditananuit in da huaskit. I would get gaudzit saitik ajindoitik giawida jisinitskik. Mugumagamut saitamutza danhau jadi speed jagway.
Just sit there and you just relax, you concentrate.
I finally convinced the old man I want to do that, my grandfather. And then I bothered him, I bugged him for a few years. And he finally said, okay, we'll go get it. And I didn't know where to go get it, but he got me ready. So away we went to this island. I still go to that island whenever I have a chance. But on his island, he made me a nest with the spruce boughs. And then he told me, don't leave this nest. You stay here until I come and get you. And your power will come to you. And I was 8. I stayed there. And it was getting night. I was getting kind of, spooked out. I thought this old man should be here right away. My grandfather should be coming soon, eh? And I stayed up all night. And then the next day, nothing. And then I was getting really, really tired. And then I was smoking my pipe, and he showed me how to pray in a Indian way, I guess.
Agot magadet Sibiid David, Tadenetskik Zagoya.
So I fell asleep, and they come to get me. The spirits come to get me. And then I traveled all over the place, underwater. I traveled in the sky. I traveled and I seen cities, countries. I seen people. I seen beings that to this day I don't know who they are. And apparently, according to my grandfather, I was there for 2 weeks with no food, no water. That's when I started to, one of the visions I had very clearly was there was this guy that came with a big boat, big long boat. It was about 60 feet long and it was about 20 feet wide, and he was alone. He was at the front of the boat, and he had a hood, he had a cane, and he was tall, but he talked to me in my mind, eh? He didn't speak, and he told me to come, so I went. This is in a dream, eh? And I kept thinking, where are we going? I'm going to take you to your life, he said. I want to go show you your life. So we came to this, another island. It was made out of rocks, all kinds of colors, red, blue, green, all kinds, beautiful colors. And we went there, and he says, Macha, go. So I went. I was kind of scared of him, eh? So I went. I didn't know where I was going till I saw these two white horses, big giant horses. They had fur on their legs, and one of the horses had a rope around his neck, and then he was stuck. She was stuck. It was a female horse, and then this rope was led into a little river or lake inside the island, in the middle of the island. So we started pulling that rope, me and the other horse, like she would go by whatever. And then it got really heavy, and it was a great big box, like a treasure almost. And I pulled it out, and they were all interested, these horses, these two horses, they were interested in, so they started kicking there was a latch there at the ends. So I figured they wanted to open it. So I opened it. And I saw things there that I didn't understand what they were. I saw 5 children, and I saw 1 boy. I saw blanket, a yellow blanket. I saw ceremonial artifacts. I saw pain and joy and all that stuff. And when I woke up, that old man's, my grandfather's engine, that's what woke me up. He come to get me, eh? And then I told him what I had dreamt. And he says, you'll see all those things in the future. And I have 5 children, eh? I have 1 son. And the blanket that I use to do my ceremonies, star blanket, is yellow. I saw that. I saw my 1 wife. I've been in love once, and I married the woman. Eh?
Imta domagoasit, uia ewisnitskit, to poisamaitumt. David magui agot hia gadet sibit iniayo ahpumtat. Ani ganskik gia handokhivat.
But when I was young, it was the traditional ways were new. They were just coming back. And as a matter of fact, I was the first one to be traditional, I suppose. I had braids, and I believed in what I was learning. So I started to gather kids my age. I was about 14, 13 years old. I've already been fasting, and I've already had a sweat, a little tiny sweat. And I used to go sweat out in the bush with a couple of my friends here and there. And they liked it. And I used to explain to them, this rock here, these stones have been here for thousands and thousands of years. And they're the first things that were created, then they'll be the last things left when the world ends. You know, stuff like that. And I started to get a big following from other kids, kids my age.
Iniayo magaisni ganskik David, gia gais psadsad iniaho diem, nasta jijikana gwania. Magumagi bistroayo, jikuspina daihtemio. Namudin had shiguyo, nia zagoyo gadi totk, gia yabits ajida maimigot ajimedzabitsta.
One morning I was sitting at home, and my dad said, "There's people here to see you." And I went in and to the living room, and they had their Bibles. You know, they're there to pray for me and stuff. So they were praying for me, and I didn't know what to do. They were holding my head, and they were telling the devil to come out of my body and stuff like that. So I played a trick on him. I started going, ooh, whatever. There was no devil in me. And so, just to ease them, just to satisfy them, I told them that I'm okay now. And I kept up doing the little gatherings that I had. One point we had about 80 kids in the bush, and I was the boss, and I got used to that. You know, do this, do that, this is what we need. You know, I got used to giving orders. And I didn't want to abuse that. I didn't want to take that to my head. I was very, very careful. And one morning, I was called to go to a meeting with chief and council and some religious people in the reserve. I got interrogated at this meeting about what I was doing, and you know, they were telling me that what you're doing is it's dead, it's gone. You know, religion came into our lives. We found Jesus. We don't need you to do this kind of thing anymore. It's devil worship. You know, so they asked me to leave the reserve, and it was a band council resolution. And my grandfather didn't leave. He says, nobody's going to take me away from, but you should go, he said. You should go and explore the world then. And I thought to myself, you know, I never been out of the nest, so to speak. It was the best thing for me. It was good for me to leave the reserve, to experience. I had to learn how to speak English. I had to learn what money meant in this world, how to survive.
Iniayo magajiwi trugud de biwa with diem. David iniayo gaisa bumtat, jisnaksho ajina shoskik intwiwitama de biwa autit. Magumagajak iniayo hubuamuan, Kiene keisu waptik jagoyo in tabako dashumanuit, zagzajite needs its toa.
The first year I had 63 dancers. That's the most dancers that, I freaked out, I panicked. That's a lot of dancers. And the lodge was not that big. And after a while, I had about 124 dancers in a Sundance lodge. That's the most I ever had. And these people that came to dance, they have to dance 4 years. They have a 4-year commitment. And after the 4th year, they have to take home a pipe or a lodge, instead of just dancing and go home with nothing. And so we made an effort for them to take home something. Because when I went to these communities, I would leave something, a sweat lodge, a shaking tent, a pipe, or something like that. And most of these dancers came from northern Quebec. There was 45 dancers from northern Quebec within the 4 years that I had. And I knew that they wanted something, these people, that they were hungry, that they were... And the reason why that is, for me, that there was already traditional people that went to these communities.
Ernie Herodier, augen by Gawichi with David. Nagodonaji kusap the meat, Giao got stromoni, Witnia boamon, Giahajimi agenot uspogen. Inia omagason scoshi good mistaba. Iognia gay dagenot, weeds a jeepin beat that the biwa medot sania.
Нашим стяди уичида. Уяти бач. Уичида. Тот сани ада жибн бихтаж. Нашим стяди бабиджаган. Амяш. Нашин ам тот сана. Дитгон ашган. Ади ябчтайган ашишиган. Смаген. Удажиган. 제가도 임산 이었던 마그네야. 제 시야부스타지. 나는 또 써져. 내가 암사 자자지 쌓이면다. 자 더부 보아도 저거였어. 자지야부스타지. 나스타가 무스티아지 위치다. 무스티와이 지위차. 나야. 스코시오. 스코시오. 나야. 아이그나이. 아미야다. 나는 또 산이야 저거. 와야. Which church? The church which is switch, a church I and don't say to come and check out. The church which I do. Axit. I go now at the market down, Staba. Chagaya the dear step. Yes, yeah. Nigga, you each tag not axon. Constellation at that. I got to beat that on the. But I got to tell them the dog had died. Med tot sans. Nauči si ga, raskumdi si ga, a dečka dojde, nauči si ga, batik had. Ako na to cotton. So, that was a bit sudden to one. Nagna to Kongo Agmuk, aim has to Mogat. So, that. Mashquat name how. Mammo, aim has to Mamuku bacon.
In the East Main, David, Jimmy or Mean Godegio Medot Sania. Iogan had questions about Gamiat.
And he's a good boy. He's going to be a good man. by here and open a door for him when he calls for the door. Don't make it too hot for yourself, Lionel, but you want to feel a little bit of heat to it. Okay?
Lord is a good way of life.
You can come on out for one. Was it hot? Congratulations.
Inia yung magutaportamon David, nasta huahyo jitot hiko. Motsigadit niya hutanskyo shim amoya mui. Nasta miyo tstay magino ayo intkoin napa.
You're addicted.
I believe in whatever I want to believe, as long as it's with the teachings of our grand ancestors, what they believed, and as long as we don't change it, as long as we don't change the shaking tent, as long as we don't change the goose dance, the Sundance, as long as we can use modern technology to keep it for the future, 100 years from now, 200 years from now. We can use the technology to make sure that our future generations never lose what was once given to us by a creator since the beginning of time. And that's the original language, the original form of worship to our creator.